let's start with those bombshell revelations today that 23 Chinese swimmers who competed in the Tokyo Olympics had recorded positive drug tests at a training camp only months before the Games. The drug in question is trimetazidine, and it's been revealed that the Chinese anti-doping agency secretly cleared the swimmers. WADA, which is their anti-doping authority, ruled the positive tests were the result of contamination, a finding which was then accepted, strangely, by the World Anti-Doping Agency. I can't work out, Joe, if China has found 23 of these people have been using this drug, which is used to treat angina. So the thinking is that it brings more blood flow to the heart and therefore gives you better physical endurance in whatever you're doing. So they find 23 of them have this in their system, but somehow it was contamination. You know, we wouldn't expect China to lie about anything. And the World Anti-Doping Authority, WADA, just ate it up and said, no problem here. I know they weren't on drugs at the Olympics, but if they were using it during training, then it's given them a leg up in their preparation for the Olympics.
I have got so much to say about this. Firstly, China. I mean, if that's not a new country, I don't know what is.
That's what they're going to call Taiwan.
Once China eventually... Well, no, because it's in the name there. It was meant to be Taiwan. It was meant to be Taiwan. Now we're going to have to invade Canada. Do you know how far away that is? Another thing... I think we should just give up on dope controls altogether. Clearly, there are no rules in sport anymore. There's no men's, no women's. You know, everyone's allowed to compete in everything all the time. I say just go for it. I reckon the missile, James Magnuson, was right. Just have an absolute free-for-all. Get shredded for stereo. Get puffed up for summer. Just get out there. Who cares if your testes shrink to the size of sultanas? It doesn't matter. It's not fair anyway. I don't want to get up at 4 in the morning and train for 5 hours. So does that mean that I can't be a championship swimmer? Tell me that's fair. This is absolute bollocks. And again, Caleb, you hit the nail on the head. The one thing that I really can't get my head around in this story is that you are telling me on national television, as a man of honour and truth, that China has been less than honest about a medical issue?
Never. Who would have thought?
Pass me the salt.
Who would have thought?
Caleb, I can solve his problem. Because what we need something called the Honest Olympics. And what happens when we get to the podium is chemists get up in white lab coats. The gold medal chemist who came up with the best drugs. The silver medal chemist who came up with the second best drugs. But you don't need the athletes there. They're just the funnels the drugs go through. The prizes go to the laboratories, and the chemists, and then you've got Honest Olympics.
There is an argument that, because they're going to do this, what are they calling it? I was going to say the juiced up Olympics.
Yeah, but they are actually doing
enhanced games they're going to do, which Magnuson, as you said, is involved in, where basically, you know, you'll be able to use whatever performance-enhancing drugs you want and see what happens. And I'm kind of interested to see how that works, just from the perspective of how far can you possibly push the human body. But, you know, when we're talking about real sport, and I'm not going to call the enhanced games real sport, but when you have to compete at a natural level, Evelyn, I cannot get over the fact that the World Anti-Doping Agency would just sort of unquestioningly accept what China told them, which was that it was contamination. And if you look at other people who've been scrubbed out for doping, not only in swimming. I mean, let's not forget about Shane Warne when he got scrubbed out of cricket for a year because he'd taken a diuretic, an anti-inflammatory that his mother had given to him. Shayna Jack got scrubbed out of Australian swimming for doping. But if you're a Chinese swimmer, no problem. Oh, it was just contamination. Pull the other one.
Yeah, I think that, you know, they haven't been able to fool us. They may have been able to fool whoever's in this jury, so to speak, but it's as though someone has accused China of being corrupt, and you know who's investigating whether China's corrupt? China, you know.
You know what they did to WADA? They threatened to block their imports of wine and lobsters.
Yeah, I know.
Just like they did to us. But surely now there has to be a full and frank investigation, Freya, from the Olympic...
I know who could conduct that.
Yeah, China. But they have to have a full and frank investigation because... you've got a lot riding on whether or not you win those gold and silver medals, and if these results are overturned, from Tokyo, the US would be eligible for gold medals and Australia would be eligible for silver medals. And there's so much stuff that goes into that, you know, the funding levels that governments give to sport, etc., all contingent on this stuff. You expect if you're going to the Olympics and you're competing fairly, that you will be competing on a fair, level playing field with other people, and even the World Anti-Doping Authority swept it under the carpet.
100%. It seems like there's a massive double standard being applied to China. In the past, as was mentioned before, there have been other athletes that have unknowingly been contaminated with all sorts of banned substances, and they have faced severe penalties. So why does that not apply to Chinese athletes? And this also comes less than a week after He Ji, or Ji He, the Chinese marathon runner, had a bit of a dodgy win at the Beijing half marathon, where he was running alongside 3 other African runners. And then at the very last moment, they pointed to the finish line, ushered for him to go in front of them, and then he claimed the victory. And it's like, is that sport? It can't. We have to think about what is the definition of sport.
Perhaps the authorities are worried that there might be a Wuhan leak number 2. So they're like, you know, let's not offend China.
All I can say is, if there are any athletes going to the Olympics in Paris in, I think it's 95 odd days now, who are juiced up, can you just let me know ahead of time so I can have a bet? Because I think that may be beneficial to my bank account.